What is going on, guys? This is the Bogey Free podcast for the Wells Fargo tournament for this week. I am your host, Evan Cheney, today joined by my co-host, Matt Jones. How you doing today, Matt?
Not too bad. We're making our triumphant return after a week off.
Yeah, it was it was a week I wish we could play DFS.
Oh, I know. It was awesome. I don't know if you watched
Uh,
any of it, but it's a heck of a format. I really enjoyed it.
it is. It's definitely a nice thing they got going on there. But oh my God, Will Wilcox, the
He,
legend, a
he's not.
hero.
Stop it. He's not even in the player pool this week, is he?
I don't think so. I haven't seen him.
He got in on he's in on a withdraw, but I don't think DraftKings threw him
We were
in.
talking about this. Didn't it take like 8 withdrawals for him to maybe be in?
Yeah, and it actually worked out because
Yeah, because like half the
there
field just
was
doesn't.
carnage. Like Bud Cauley, Cameron Smith, Ustays, like a million guys withdrew. Even after they did even after salaries, like there's what, four Jonas Blix pulled out. Like it's wild.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're FanDuel, DraftKings, and maybe like fantasy draft or whatever, it's really hard to get an eighth alternate like in there,
Oh yeah, for
right?
sure. Definitely don't fault them for not having the salary ready on Wilcox.
Yeah, it's it would be pretty hard, right? I mean, it's like this guy who's like eighth up in the rotation. You're like, all right, but I mean, if one thing's for sure, fantasy draft has an interesting format now. I don't know if you saw this,
I haven't.
but no, but fantasy draft now has a 7-man roster where only six people accumulate points.
Oh, actually,
But
yeah,
what
my
happens?
my dad told
Yeah,
me about that.
yeah. But what happens is like your worst golfer is replaced by like your backup guy or whatever.
Right.
So
So I
that's.
mean, then you can
I mean,
play
only
Stenson, right?
you could certainly play
You
Stenson,
don't
but this
you don't have to
this would
worry
make
about.
Will Wilcox a better play.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Like that would put him in like 50% of people's lineups. If that
Well,
if that was a DraftKings format, what would be his ownership? Like, let's be honest here.
I don't know. Probably whatever it is, it would be too much.
No, it would. There's never too much Will Wilcox. Let's be real here. No, but it just aside from all the interesting. Are you hearing this? All right, we're good. No, but aside from all the just comedy, that was Will Wilcox just dominating. Although it's the truth, he's the truth. Let's be real here. Also, another unrelated to this tournament golf news: Ian Poulter.
Technicality.
That was
So you're saying there's a chance.
the golf gods were very nice to him.
Yeah, and the best part about that whole situation was Brian Gay like told the PGA about it, and he was already in anyway. Like he had no motivation to do that other than like I don't know, just honor and
I
I don't
mean,
know, like
at that point, you have to expect like the golf gods are just looking down upon you, and you're just like, all right,
yeah.
we'll give you this one. We'll
And
give you
I don't
we're
know if
giving you one more chance, Ian.
I don't know if you follow along with like Barstool at all, but
Oh, they're great. They're
they
great.
they despise Ian Poulter just as like an organization, and
How?
I don't think they were I don't think they
I
mentioned this technicality, but
mean, I guess if you're not a fan of technicalities, fine. But I'm not gonna sit here and say whatever. Don't let him in with his card. Like, yeah, let him in.
yeah,
Whatever.
it's just another villain in golf. It's fine.
All right. Well, there's definitely a lot of very interesting golf news going on outside of this tournament this week. But let's talk about this one. Let's talk about the Wells Fargo at Eagle Point
Yeah.
for this week. For the first time ever, we are making this an official live stream. So feel free as the viewing audience to ask questions, and we'll answer them in a Q&A. If we have any. And yeah, let's talk about this tournament if we get any.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting. But yeah, let's talk about this tournament here. What stats? I mean, just talk about the course and what stats, or like what courses are comparable here. You know, what stats are going to dominate, and you know, what
Yeah,
have you.
so I mean, like you said, it's this event. The Wells Fargo is usually played at Quail Hollow, but the PGA Championship this year is there, so they obviously aren't going to play two events at the same course in the same year. So they moved it to Eagle Point. To par 72. It looks like it's going to play a shade under 7,500 yards, which is a little bit longer than the scorecard that I was researching in the beginning of the week, like sort of suggested. Um, Pretty big greens. So, but they're like tiered. It's a bit of a tricky setup on approach shots depending on where the pins are. But just with this distance and the fact that it's par 72, I'm looking at par 5 scoring, driving distance, and then I mean strokes gained approach is always going to be, you're not going to win a tournament without hitting greens. So that's always
Oh
going to be
yeah,
there.
yeah. I figured that out. I mean, it was pretty much common sense, like anyway. But I figured that out like in a very rough way when I was playing chip and putt, and I just didn't hit anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very important. I'm starting to figure
So
out.
yeah, I mean, and it's like that's kind of I don't know. I don't know if it's obvious to everybody or not, but like clearly you need to hit the greens. But what I'm looking at this week is uh, I've been trying to put together some models to figure out like which courses are similar to each other, and it's still sort of in its infancy. But some of the courses that popped up are some courses that they've played recently, like TPC San Antonio, which is where the Valero was a couple weeks ago, is popping as a similar course. Even a little bit of like a shade of Augusta here and there, a little bit of Bay Hill. So, courses that people are familiar with where distance is a little bit of, at a little bit more of a premium than say like Harbor Town or somewhere. Like you're going to need to be long on this course. And you can kind of spray it a little bit. Like they took out some trees. It's a pretty wide open course for the most part. I think there's something like 6 or 7 water hazards, but a bunch of them don't even really come into play. So yeah, I'm kind of targeting distance and just hoping it plays the way that it looks like it should.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of distance, of course, our most expensive golfer on the slate
Whew.
is probably going to do very well here if we're focusing on driving distance as opposed to, say, accuracy or
But
anything of that matter.
just $13,000 though is
Dustin Johnson is certainly up there, though, in usability.
oh yeah, I mean he's the longest hitter on tour this year. He scores par fives probably. I don't know off the top of my head. I would say he's probably like at least in the top 3, if not number 1. But I mean, $13,000 is a ton. Like if you plug him into your lineup, your remaining salary goes to like 75 or 7,400, like right off the bat. So it's a premium, and if he doesn't win, like I don't know, and he's coming off an injury, like it's going to be hard to play him for me at least. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. He's definitely in a really good spot, don't get me wrong. But 13K for the guy. I mean, you have
That's a
to pretty
lot.
much guarantee that he's like, you know, just gonna dominate,
Right.
which he certainly can.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, it's not, I'm trying to pull it up now. It's not like, it's not a weak field, but it's kind of like top heavy, where after you get past like a certain number of like the top guys, it sort of just levels out, where there's not, you're not like too scared by like most of like the middle tier, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to pull it up now.
Yeah, but oh my goodness.
It's just 13,000 is
It,
too much for anybody. I don't really
eh,
see how you can get anything out of that.
well, it really comes down to this question. It's like, from a DFS standpoint, it's really like, can you achieve quote unquote good value out of a 13K golfer when he's $2,000 more than the next most expensive guy?
And like when the next most expensive guy is as goaty as John Rahm, like what I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I get it. He won the last 3 times he played, but it can't just go unsaid that he wasn't able to play in a major because of what happened to his back. Like it wasn't some random tournament that he just pulled out of because it didn't mean anything to him. Like it was the Masters and he pulled out. Like it had to have been reasonably serious for him to do that. So I don't know. And just $13,000. I'm just going to keep saying it randomly throughout the rest of the show. I might just randomly say 13,000 and that's it because I can't pull the trigger on it. I can't figure out a way to fit him in with a lineup that I like.
Well, oh man. Oh. I guess, yeah. I don't know. It's certainly a tough call. He'll definitely be highly owned, though. People are going to
Oh yeah.
gravitate toward him because he's a name that people know in pretty much a field where you don't have. I mean, you have. I'm going to count on like 2, 3, 4, 5 guys, 4 that have real like name recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else is just people that other people throughout the industry are going to recommend over and over because they're quote good values. But I don't know. He makes it
Yeah, I
very
mean,
hard to roster because there's not a great lower tier.
right. And so if people are gonna land on that, I mean, if you hit on the right balance lineup, you're gonna like, and Justin Johnson doesn't win the tournament outright, like you're gonna be good, like you're gonna be fine,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, I don't know. I just can't envision a situation where I really can justify paying 13,000 for a guy. I don't know.
Well, I have a weather report.
Uh-oh.
This is interesting. The wind situation is going to be very evident
Yeah,
throughout.
there's a
And
definite
it's not
wave
even
advantage.
I and here's the like I don't know about it's a wave advantage because the wind is just supposed to be really bad throughout. And
Yeah, but
like
it's
this is a consistent wind. This is a consistent wind from about 8 a.m. on Thursday to about or what's 2000 hours? 8 about 8 p.m. on Friday. So it's not
yeah,
like
but
you
there
really get
I don't know.
what's that?
I'm trying to avoid the early Friday
Oh,
if I
early
can.
Friday is going to be the worst. Early Friday is going to be the worst because there's projected the overall wind is going to be 26 to 28 miles an hour
Right.
up until like 11 a.m. on Friday. And then peak wind gusts, especially for those guys teeing off like early morning on Friday,
Hmm.
39 miles an hour.
Yeah, like
Peak
that's
wind.
I
You're
don't know.
not gaining an advantage here.
No.
But oh my god. It's nuts, this wind situation. But that'll tie into our next 2 golfers here who are heavily affected by this wind. You have John Rahm at 11,000. You have Phil Mickelson at 10,200. Both of these guys are like the peak. They are peak, like right in this wind situation, because you have Rahm who tees off at about noon on Thursday, or 1 o'clock on Thursday.
Right.
So he's kind of like, eh. Phil Mickelson tees off about 1 o'clock on Thursday. but they both tee off at like before 8 a.m. on Friday.
Right.
And that is like, that's going to be the worst of the wind. So how do you, Jon Rahm looks like, I know you love him. I know you think he's a really good golfer, but
Wait. Hold on.
hold
I
on.
don't think he's a really good golfer.
Oh,
He
you know he's
is
a really
a
good golfer.
really good
No,
golfer.
no, he's a very good golfer. Don't get me wrong. But he's going to be playing when he tees off on Friday morning at 7:45. He's going to be dealing with 28-mile-an-hour consistent winds with peak wind gusts at 39 miles an hour.
Yeah, so you fade the top three guys and you go to Adam Scott because he's as long as anybody and he's 10,000 and he has the wave advantage and he
And you
scores
get
on fours and fives. So
okay, hold on. I just want
it's an
this for the
easy game, Evan. It's an easy game.
easy game, easy life. No, I'm just trying to figure out the situation. Like, am I recommending Adam Scott? I guess. And at the same time, excuse me. Oh, at the same time, are we suggesting to fade Jon Rahm?
No,
And
you'll
Phil
never
Mickelson.
hear those words come out of my mouth.
And Phil Mickelson.
No,
Because it looks
can
like
we just wait, hold on. Can I contextualize this for you a little bit? Because I know you're like,
contextualize all you want. I'm
listen,
sticking with my win narratives, but go ahead.
Jonathan Rahm is so like do you understand how like the official world golf rankings work? Like
Yeah.
you add up so for people who aren't listening, like you get a certain amount of points for however you finish in each event, right? And they automatically make you divide all those points by a certain number, right? The minimum that you have to divide that your points by is 40. So up until the point where you're playing, you have 40 events in your ranking system for yourself, you are dividing by way more than you're supposed to, right? He's 13th. His divisor is 40 right now, and he's only actually played in 21 events. So he should be number 2 in the world right now. Like if you divide his points by the actual events that he's played, he's number 2 in the world. Mm-hmm. I just want everybody to understand that because he's so good. But like you said, if it's 40 mile an hour wind gusts and 25 to 30 mile an hour sustained winds, then of course he's not gonna. I mean, how could you play golf in that? Like that's unless there's a delay. That's the only saving grace with him. I don't know.
Exactly. Again, he's a really strong golfer, but
it also should be said, like we're recording this on Tuesday night. Like things definitely do change weather-wise a day out or 2 days out. So you never know. Like it could shift a little bit here and there, but you're either going to get a really good contrarian play by playing these early Friday guys, or you're going to be kind of screwed. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's fair, no?
Oh no, that's completely fair to say, and I don't know, this whole win situation is just nuts. Just with pretty much how everyone playing is gonna be affected, which
right
is both a good thing and a bad thing. That's pretty much where we stand there. So those are pretty much our takes on Rahm and Mickelson. Now, yeah, I mean, we were bringing up Adam Scott too. And, I mean, he's not in a great situation. Okay. Like, the win situation, everyone, like, no one's in a good situation. But, like, he actually matches up with this course fairly well.
Yeah. I like it. I like him a lot. I wrote him up on the live app today on DK Live. I don't understand. I don't understand how people like regardless. Forget the wind, whatever. Forget the wind entirely. just looking at it from like who's in that range. Like people are going to pay up for Dustin Johnson and make stars and scrubs, right? People are going to play John Rahm because he's the GOAT. People are going to play Phil Mickelson because they know him, right? So like how does he get a ton of ownership in that situation with the four guys right above him, or the three guys right above him being so like potentially popular? I just
I
feel like
mean,
he's a good play from that perspective.
yeah, and then like Phil Mickelson's really not projected to be that highly owned. Only has 8 tags right now
Right.
on FanShare, so he's I don't know. He has some surprisingly low projected ownership at this point. But yeah, just Dustin Johnson, John Rahm, obviously is going to take a good chunk of ownership away from Adam Scott, but Adam Scott's still getting quite a few tags. He has 14 right now, as we're discussing.
Yeah.
But no, Adam Scott's in a really good spot with this course. I think the course fit is good for him, and I like the price. He's 10,000 even, and he has some of the best driving distance of the field.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, he's longer than I feel like people give him credit for. Like
As
he's over 300 yards. Like
he's the second. No, he's the second best driving distance in this tournament,
right.
right behind Dustin Johnson.
So that's crazy to me. And he's a good par 4 scorer. Like that's that's where you can really make up a little bit on this course. And I mean, I didn't go too deep into the course before, but I think 8 of the par 4s are like under 460 yards. So if you're driving at 300, 315, like you're going to have wedges into these greens, and he's a good wedge player. So what would, like what, I think this is just something like I'm not going to overthink it. I'm probably not going to have much of DJ as much as I like him. And I probably won't even really have that much Rahm either, because the wind is just too much. I feel like Scott's the play at the 10 in this tier,
Yeah, and then let's talk about 3 guys that are like somewhat decent pivots off of Adam Scott if you choose to go this direction. So we have Paul Casey at 9,900, Patrick Reed at 9,800, and Webb Simpson at 9,700, which seems very odd.
But he's got the
No,
narrative,
it's just like
so
he has the narrative. Don't get me wrong. We'll talk about that in a second. But oh my goodness, I've never seen Webb Simpson so expensive.
yeah, I mean, like I said, the narrative is he's a member there, and he knows the course. And I mean, I think he's sort of like a reasonable fit for the course in general, but he's not the longest hitter. So the fact that he's like so well, it's sort of puzzling to me. I don't know. Like, is it just that he just knows the, ins and outs, and he's going to be able to get around it easier because of that, even though he doesn't fit that well? I don't know. I mean, it doesn't, like, there are definitely guys in this range that I'd rather play from like a stats perspective, but this narrative is kind of throwing me now.
Yeah, he's a member of the course, so definitely. I don't know. I'm not on a guy like Webb Simpson as much as you might be. I'm not a fan of the driving distance.
Right. And just from game theory, like, how can you play him?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, here's the thing: if I take a tournament guy, like, especially if I'm only making like 3 lineups for like a 3 max entry type tournament, I want the players that I play to be like flaw. Like, I don't want to have gut doubts, right? And having Webb Simpson with an average driving distance of 280, maybe like 281 if you want to round that up a little bit. It doesn't
that extra
Jeez.
that extra 8 tenths of a or 800ths of a
I
yard is really
mean,
gonna get him over the hump here.
you want to give him the 8 tenths of a yard, it's fine. I don't care. It's not gonna help anything. But
I mean, but realistically, like the game theory play is just play Reed, right? I mean, nobody's gonna be on him.
oh yeah,
Everybody hates him right now, and he's gonna be good again at some point. Like he has to be. Like he's a good golfer.
yeah, and he has some of the stats that would help you on this course.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's not just an outright bomber, but he's definitely above average driving distance wise. He gains strokes off the tee. Like he's going to
And that's
score
yeah.
okay on any hole, really. He just needs to putt. Like that's all that it comes down to.
Yeah, and that's the main difference, right? That's the main difference too that I think, or one of the two main differences between Reed and Simpson is that Reed's giving you a strokes gain number of 0.59 off the tee, whereas Webb Simpson's losing strokes. He's losing almost a half a stroke
Right.
off the tee.
Yeah.
So, I mean, realistically, we want guys who are gaining strokes and then have the distance. I mean, Reed's average drive is 13 yards longer than Webb Simpson.
Right. And that's a club. I mean, that's a
Yeah,
club and a half, and it makes a difference. And if Reed can put it together, like he's 15th in the world for a reason right now. Like
yeah.
he kind of burned himself out last year, and he's sort of struggled to come back into form. But like he's a really good golfer, and there's no reason why he's playing the way that he's playing. And maybe it's the wrong play, but if I'm in on him on the right week, then I'm going to make money because people are going to be off of him until he shows it. And I'd rather jump on him this week and, see, if he like top tens this week, he's going to pay off like crazy, and he's going to be like super chalk at the players. You know what I mean? Like that's how it works. Like you don't want to be playing him at the players next week because he did well this week. You want to be playing him this week.
Yeah. That's 100% for sure. All right, so definitely we're suggesting Reed over Webb Simpson.
Yeah.
Lower ownership, better stats, just an all around better play for Reed this week. No real wind or time advantage because they're teeing off at pretty much the same time,
Right.
both Thursday and Friday. So really, again, no huge difference going on there.
Yeah, they're a group off of each other, I think.
Yeah. All right, so let's look at another pair here. We have Francisco Molinari at 9,200 and Wesley Bryan at 9,100. I think one slightly better than the other for different reasons. That's just my opinion. We'll discuss this. So yeah, Molinari at 9,200. I think he's a solid cash play. Sure.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously like the draw that he got with being later on Friday. And I mean, he's not the longest, but he's pretty average. Like I think tour average right now is right around like 286, and he's 289, so he's a little above average. He's super accurate off the tee, so that's going to help. No matter what, we can say you can spray it, but if you're in the fairway, it's always going to be better. Yeah, I mean, he gains stroke off the tee. He gains strokes on approach. He scores well on par fives, even though he's not that long. Like, there's no real reason not to play him. And then you have Brian, $100 less coming off the win. I mean, a huge price jump. And this is
Wait, hold
not.
on. Did you say huge?
What?
I could have sworn you just said huge.
Yeah. What?
Like
No?
YUGE. Not HUGE, like YUGE.
This, I don't know. This might be like is this like a Long Island thing? I do my best to hide it.
There's
I try
I'm not saying anything bad about it. Just connections to certain people in the world.
Well, we're a family show, so
Like I said, no, yeah, you do you. I'm just saying. I just find it entertaining. That's all.
okay. So he had a gigantic, a massive price jump. I mean, if you don't consider like the Puerto Rico Open, like you can't look at these salaries. I was doing that this week. I'm like, oh, why was Wesley Bryan like 10.5? And then I was like, oh, Puerto Rico.
It's really interesting to say that like that Puerto Rico Open happened like what over a month ago at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe
Thank
even
God.
2 months ago. It was just like we're still talking about it.
But then it's like it's interesting because of this, this is like that's a like specifically golf thing. Like there's no, I mean, unless some drastic injury happens or whatever, like you don't see swings in salary from where a guy is like the number 2 in the sport to like meh, he's like 6,700 the next week, and then he's back up to 9,100. Like golf is just wild that way. He is a bad draw, and I'm not like over the moon about it.
Yeah, I think both of us can say with confidence that we much prefer Molinari at this price tag.
Yeah.
Or just in the general range, especially because he's gaining strokes. He's got solid driving distance overall. So yeah, I think we can agree on that. I don't know. Do we really like anyone in this 8K range?
I mean, I was looking through this, right? And like, I'm a big fan of Daniel Berger, but he has a real rough draw, tee time wise. I mean, I can see it. He's a great driver. He scores really well on par, pretty much at anything, honestly. And he's been in good form lately. Like I like Glover, I like Kisner, but all of these guys they're teeing off like 7:30, 8:30 on Friday, and I don't know if I can really play any of those guys, especially because they're going to be popular. Like if those guys are going to see, they're not going to be like uber chalk or anything, but they're going to be popular for this range. And you go down a little bit and you look at like Byung-Hun An. I mean, he has as good a stats as Berger, and he has a better draw for this basically the same price. Like, I don't know. It's just the wind is really messing with me right now. Like, this is the first time that we've really, I feel like this season have had to deal with like, the weather's gonna suck, and you just have to try to figure it out and see where the chips fall, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what this slate's giving us. This is really the first time where we have to say, wind is going to be a factor for pretty much every golfer on both sides of the AM PM stuff. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Lucas Glover always has a thought in my heart, just because he's Lucas Glover.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, he's not a bad play.
No, I mean, I don't think anyone in this 8K range is really a terrible play. But no one really stands out to me as like, you need to get your exposure on him.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're just, and all these guys are being talked about so much. Like, this is what, all right, this show is going to be like an hour and a half because I keep going off like on different tangents. But like, how, like, I've been using the fan share tags and everything and trying to project ownership a little bit on my own. But like, how is it possible that everybody in this range, not everybody, but 5 out of the 6 guys from 7,900 to 8,600 all have mentions, like double-digit mentions? How is it going to be a Stars and Scrubs week? Like, if all these guys are getting talked up also, like I don't know where lineup construction is going to go this week. I think that people are going to end up fading DJ, and it's going to end up on balanced lineups because like 13,000 is huge. I don't know. I
Yeah.
can't figure it. I really can't, and it's bugging me.
Yeah. No, but if Dustin Johnson, the thing is, rostering Dustin Johnson to any extent is going to use a ton of cap, and it's going to force you to be stars and scrubs. Now,
And then
I'm just gonna go
who
on.
are you playing then? Like, I don't understand where all this like low end value is. Like, I mean, I guess we'll
Well,
get to
no,
it, but
it's more the logic of Dustin Johnson's in a really good spot. So, if I'm writing an article for, to prep people for this tournament, I'm obviously going to mention Dustin Johnson. That's where it's coming from. Right? It's not people saying, "Oh, I can make the perfect lineup that includes Dustin Johnson and, whatever scrubs." It's more, because I'm someone talking about golf on on a public platform like this, I should probably mention the guy who's probably in the best spot of anyone this week.
yeah. But like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how we can squeeze this into like the next 20 minutes. But like, how does I just don't understand how this shakes out this week. I really don't. Between the fact that DJ's back, right, and you have all right, he's coming off injury, but supposedly he took off enough time, so it shouldn't be an issue, and he has a good wave, right? So he's gonna not that it's like great, but it's a little bit better. How I just don't understand how you fit 13,000 into your lineups this week. Like, there are some guys down in like the 6,000s that I like a little bit for tournaments, but like, what are you going to get 3 out of 6 guys through because you fit in Dustin Johnson and then he doesn't win and you're totally screwed? Like, how does that? I don't know. I just don't understand how that works.
We'll let people make their own decisions. We'll see what happens. All right, so let's look at another pair of golfers here who are both 7,700 on DraftKings this week. We have JT Poston and Hudson Swafford. Again, one of these two golfers gets the better end of the win shtick scheduling, for lack of a better way to describe this. And the other one is just really screwed for their Friday tee off. I don't know. Talk about these guys and what on paper is going to put them in a good spot, and what their weather situation ends up being.
Yeah, I mean, all things being equal, like, I'd rather play Swafford. Like, if you take just in a vacuum, these two guys, I'd much rather play him. He's longer off the tee. He has better greens and regulation numbers. Like, he's better on the par fives. Like, all the things that I'm looking for this week, he does better. But, oh, by the way, he's going to have like 80-mile-an-hour winds this week. So, like, how do you? I don't know. This is another tough one.
Yeah, I don't know,
because Swafford is the better play objectively.
Oh yeah, if you're looking purely at stats, Swafford is by far the better play. Like, there's really no game theory play here because they're both probably going to be fairly low owned. But again, like, skills wise, Swafford is the better play. With that being said, I don't know, like, how much better statistically are we saying Hudson Swafford is? And I don't know if he has such a great advantage over Poston. Do we still roster Swafford even though the wind will be a factor on Friday?
I mean,
that's
go ahead.
And no, it's just like, that's the question you have to ask yourself in that situation. Is like, is the risk of wind that is the risk of wind that bad to the point where we're going to say that it dilutes Swafford's skill set difference over Poston? Like, that's the question I'm just trying to bring up here at this point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just, I mean, like we said, things do change. The weather goes back and forth sometimes. I think that at a certain point, we might just have to look and say, all right, they're all going to kind of be screwed by the weather no matter how you shake it. And you might just have to bite the bullet with some of these early guys. You'll get them at lower ownership for the guys who are, for the DFS guys who are paying attention to this kind of stuff. And, hopefully it shakes out for you. But I'm not going to play post in cash because of the wind. You know what I mean? Like that's not something I'm willing to do. Like Swafford is a better play. If I fall in this range with $7,700 left for my last player, I'm gonna go to Swafford.
That's a fair take to say on it. But still, I don't know. I might disagree on the cash. I don't know. I think Poston might be the better cash gameplay because his weather situation makes him a little bit safer. But Swafford is definitely the preferred GPP play if people are gonna be deterred by the wind. I don't know. You maybe give him that little bit of a chance that he overcomes the wind.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So that's our thoughts there. There's a couple other golfers here. I don't know. We have Kevin Tway.
You look so angry right now.
I don't know who he. I mean, I kind of know who he is. I'm just kind of confused as to what.
It's Bob Tway's son. Come on, man.
I mean, okay, the narrative's there, maybe.
No, this is strictly not a narrative thing. Like he was third at the Valero, right? And his team came in third last week, him and Kelly Craft. Tway played really well. This was just like seeing him at Valero playing really well in San Antonio, which I sort of mentioned before, like is a reasonably comparable course. And, he looked good last week again, and he's just going to keep rolling with this. He has a bunch of the stuff that we're looking for. He drives the ball over 300 yards. He's, above average for the field in par 5 scoring, and he's only 7,200, so he's not costing you a heck of a lot either.
No, he's probably one of those guys you roster in a stars and scrub roster construction. If you're gonna be someone who plays a lot of Dustin Johnson this week, that's probably who you're it's probably maybe one of the guys you're gravitating towards because his stat line is kind of decent.
Right.
Let's look at two guys at 6,900 here. We have Shane Lowry and Luke List.
The Irishman. We got the wind going. Come on. Got to do it.
I mean, maybe Shane Lowry.
He's got a good draw too.
Does he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. He does. After I looked into it a little bit. Yeah, he's all right.
He's got a good draw, and he's the same price as Luke List, who is like, what are people going to do with him this week?
Luke List is not.
But what are people going to do with him?
He's really in such a suboptimal spot.
Like, people are so invested in like wanting him to just be the next thing. And I really think that people think he's younger than he is. Like, I feel like he's the shiny new toy, but he's not. Like, he's like 30 something. He's like older than me. That's old. Like, like what? I don't understand what this whole thing is. Like, I like him as a player, but what has he done recently?
Not. I mean, he kind of performed well at the Puerto Rico, if that's what we're going to talk about again. But not to bring up that tournament too many times. I
feel like he didn't.
He survived. He was chalk and made the cut. I guess that's something.
Hold on, I gotta pull this up because I feel like he. Hold on, this is really great podcasting by me right now. Where'd he go? He was 37th, and he was like $1 million.
Oh, there you go. I'll take the L there.
I just I don't know. He's missed a couple of cuts. Like everybody's been on him. So does that mean that people are going to be off him and he's a good play, but he has like a
Um,
bad win draw?
I mean,
Like
he's not getting talked about a whole lot, but not really many people are in that sub 7K price range.
right. I mean, for this
So yeah, I mean,
range, for under 7,000, like you need to go like pretty random. Like, I mean, we'll just kind of burn some of these guys now that we were going to talk about, but like Alex
yeah.
Noren's at 6,600. He's like 12th in the world. Like, I don't understand. I don't
Yeah,
understand that,
that's a really weird price tag for someone
right?
that's 12th. But I don't know. Some of his stat I can see why he's cheap on the cheaper end of things. He doesn't have
He's not in great form. Don't get me wrong.
no,
Like,
his recent form definitely hurts him in the fact that he's not a recognized name.
right,
Definitely drives down his price, and it's pretty much saying like, DraftKings saying, "All right, roster this guy."
right. And then one of the only other guys that's really being talked up that much is like under 7,000 is Carl Pedersen because he has the course record here. He's another member and he shot a 62 here once like that. And everybody is talking about it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how this ownership shakes out.
I mean, he's getting talked about a lot for someone that had one good round here.
Right. So I don't know. And then you keep going and all these guys are they're all just kind of GPP plays. Like, I have to mention my boy Smiley. Like, shout out to Natty. Like, you got to do it. Um, and then and he has a good draw, and he can definitely drive the ball. So he's somewhat interesting for a flyer if he can put it together. And then you have like Beef Johnston. Like, he has a good draw too, decent distance. Like, he's pretty good on approach. And you're talking about $6,700. Like, these guys aren't going to be like world beaters, but
No, but I could certainly understand maybe just taking a flyer on a few of these guys because you are rostering a
right,
$13,000 Dustin Johnson, but
exactly.
they're not good.
Well, I mean,
A lot of these players
yeah,
aren't good. Smiley's decent, but I don't know. Just a lot of these guys in this price range just aren't good.
no, but we do have to shout out my friend Tag Ridings. He's going to be part of the brand because he what did he do T11 last week,
11th. Yeah.
and then he made min salary a couple weeks ago. He made the cut in San Antonio, and this is a similar course. So I'm just saying he's not the best par five scorer, but he has some distance, and if he can make some putts, I think that he could be an interesting. Not like he's not gonna win the thing. Like, he's gonna be like top 30, and you'll be thrilled because then you can fit in
Yeah.
Dustin Johnson, who's like an auto win apparently.
Oh no, like if he makes the cut and gets like top 30. No, he's good. He's good to go. That's all you need to do there.
Yeah.
All right, I think that does it for us. Unless you want to talk about anyone else in this Scrubberlandish category.
No, I mean, I'm just scrolling through to make sure I didn't miss anybody. I mean, Harold Varner's being talked about a bunch,
When
but
doesn't he?
no, thank you.
He always gets talked about. He's
I'm
not.
so over him. Like, why? I don't understand. Like, I
I don't
really
know,
don't get people sometimes.
He's definitely not like the cream of the crop, but he's certainly an up and coming prospect. It definitely an up and coming prospect. Let me just double check to see what Will Wilcox's status here is.
Oh God.
I'm just
So as
I have
Evan
to.
checks that, I do want to throw out there to the world that the my articles now are going up on the DK playbook. So if you are looking for a little bit more from me analysis wise, that's where you can find it now, and the DK Live app. So check that stuff out as well.
All right. Well, he's not. He's not on DraftKings.
What a shame.
I'm just gonna
Evan,
cry about that one.
this is a good thing for your bankroll. Like I don't
It's not.
understand why you.
It's. I don't know.
Well,
Let me just see if.
we can close on this thought though. Can you imagine if one of these guys that doesn't end up with a salary from DraftKings wins the thing? Like Willie's not going to win it. Like we know that, but
Well, hold on. You can't automatically discredit him.
Can't
He dominated last week.
What is? Were we watching the same tournament?
I guess maybe not. I just
Frederick Jakobsen dominated. All right. I think Freddie's back is sore from carrying Willie all last week. That's why he withdrew this week.
that's definitely a way to look at it. He's, by the way, Will Wilcox is not on any of DraftKings Fantasy Draft or FanDuel.
Yeah, I think all that stuff just happened too late, honestly. So many people withdrew. Like, I mean, I don't even understand. I think Brown and Kisner are still playing, right?
I think so.
Yeah, and I don't really get why Kisner's playing because I don't know. I thought he was in the players field, but maybe he's not. But like Blixt and Smith withdrew today because they're like, yeah, we just played a playoff yesterday. Like, we're not coming to your tournament. Like, I don't understand.
That's so weird, though. We'll wrap this up in a second, but it's so weird though. They have the playoff on Monday morning. Like,
yeah,
what?
the delay just screwed it up. The delay during, in the afternoon, it was way too dark. I don't know if you saw like when Kisner holed out for that birdie or for the eagle rather. But you could tell if you looked in the background, like the way that the screen, like they had like some like Jumbotron in the background and it was like super bright. Like you could tell that there was just like they had the exposure like all the way up on the cameras to be able to even see them.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I don't know. It was just a weird situation going down there. All right, that'll do it for us. This has been the Bogey Free Podcast for the Wells Fargo with your host Evan Cheney and Matt Jones. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at eCheney17 for me, at Matt Jones TFR for him. Make sure to check out our podcast on a weekly basis. This is really a fun show to do, and I don't know. I hope you guys are enjoying it. So if we're not winning all the money, we hope you guys.
And real quick, we also have a guest next week for the players.
Oh yeah,
so
we do.
Make sure you tune in next week.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's a special surprise we got coming up. But yeah, we have a guest coming on for next week's players. Yeah, so watch out for that next Tuesday. And yeah, if like I said, if we're not winning all the money, we hope you guys do. So good luck in your contest this week.